South Carolina football has had an interesting quarterback situation in the last few years. They ended up having Spencer Rattler, who was an above-average player and ended up getting drafted by the Saints, and then they moved on to Lenora Sellers, who I thought had the highest ceiling of any quarterback in recent memory for the Gamecocks. I'm not the only one who thought that, as many scouts believed he was going to be a first-round pick after this season. Unfortunately, Sellers has sort of been a bust this year, but not all of it is his fault. South Carolina as a whole has been dysfunctional, and while Sellers still definitely has the potential to be great, he might need one more season, and he might need to leave South Carolina if we're being honest. But moving ahead towards the future, the Gamecocks have a guy in 2026 who could be the real deal for them and could be the next great Gamecocks quarterback. His name is Landon Duckworth, and he's been hyped up for years now. In today's video, I'm going to introduce you to who Landon Duckworth is. We're going to go through how he became a big-time recruit and why he ended up at South Carolina. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you want to support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now let's go ahead and get started and talk about Landon Duckworth. So in order to get to this point, we first need to go back in time, and he grew up in the city of Jackson, Alabama. At the age of 6, Duckworth was already becoming a big-time player as he'd go to his local organized park with red, blue, and yellow Superman cleats on his feet. This apparently amused a lot of the local coaches, and one of them asked, "Where are you going with those cleats?" He didn't answer with just a smile. Apparently, he ended up touching the end zone 8 times that day, which made it clear that those cleats were a good idea. His coach said, quote, "He showed me why he wore those cleats. Anytime we needed a touchdown, pretty much anytime he ran the ball, he scored, and not just in that game." His trainer said that they saw his arm when he was about 9 years old and that he had a cannon and was always overthrowing people because he couldn't control it. Another fellow trainer said that he was big and that he could fly, and he has been working with Landon since he was in elementary school and coached many of the nation's best quarterbacks. His name is David Morris. He said that Duckworth was the real deal and that his upside was enormous and that he could really run it and throw it a mile. It was obvious from an early age that Duckworth had uncommon skills, but Morris said an alarm went off about 3 years ago when Duckworth was in 8th grade. His high school coach, Cody Flournoy, said, quote, "With his arm strength, he can throw any ball he wants." The quarterback that came in front of him in high school was Walter Taylor III, who ended up going to Colorado, and after him, Landon would take over as a sophomore. But as a freshman, scouts had already gotten their hands on Duckworth as he had gotten offers from UCF, Mississippi State, Troy, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, and TCU. Eventually, he took over the reins, and in his first year as a 15-year-old starter, he ended up throwing for just under 2,000 yards and 27 touchdowns. He also completed 60% of his passes and had 5 more scores on the ground. He would start to blow up as a recruit even more and had a crazy offer sheet. But neither of the home state schools of Alabama and Auburn ended up making an offer, which didn't seem to bother him all that much. He said, quote, "It'd be nice if it happened, but if not, it is what it is." He then decided to commit to South Carolina in 2024, and this was a huge get for Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks. But he would later decommit and re-examine his options. Last season as a junior, he ended up blowing up as he led Jackson High to a 14-1 record and an Alabama 4A state championship. He ended up passing for 3,400 yards with 39 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. He also ran the ball 62 times for 648 yards and 12 touchdowns and averaged 10.5 yards per carry. He played alongside Jamarian Gordon and Alabama 5-star running back commit E.J. Crowell. That Jackson High team is absolutely loaded with talent, and football was not his only sport. He ended up winning a state title in basketball and won gold medals in both track and field. On the court, he averaged 10.5 points per game and 6 rebounds, and he also ran the 200-meter dash in 23.18 seconds. He is just an athlete. In May of 2025, he would decide to reopen his recruitment and would have a final 5 of Ole Miss, South Carolina, Florida State, North Carolina, and Auburn. Despite committing all the way back in August of 2023, he would later reaffirm and recommit to the Gamecocks, this time for good, as he would double down on his pledge to South Carolina. He said his feelings about the SEC school in Columbia never changed, but he wanted to examine his options. Duckworth said, quote, "I always loved South Carolina. Coach Beamer was always the same, and we have been close for a long time. That is what kept South Carolina high on my list. They had a change of offensive coordinator, so I had to get to know Coach Shula better, but South Carolina was always up there. Coach Beamer never changed with me, and he made me feel special. They always wanted me there, and South Carolina is a place I can be successful at." Ole Miss was the other school that many thought were in the mix, and at one point got a ton of crystal balls, but South Carolina played consistent and patient, and it paid off. According to 24/7 Sports, Landon is a 4-star recruit, the number 7 quarterback, and the 83rd best player in the class of 2026. He becomes the highest rated quarterback to commit to Shane Beamer, and that is saying something. He's had some pretty good players commit to him. One 24/7 Sports analyst wrote, quote, "He's a dynamic dual-threat signal caller with rare physical tools that might eventually need 2 hands for all the rings he's going to collect. He's made to order for a modern spread attack with his quick release and zone read talent." There may be absolutely zero connection here, but it does feel like maybe they're getting Lenora Sellers 2.0, an extremely good athlete who has loads of potential and is a good passer. I have absolutely no idea if that is actually accurate or not, but South Carolina will definitely need him. I'm not sure if Lenora Sellers is going to stick around, as he might transfer or he might end up going off to the NFL. I personally don't think he's ready, but that's not my decision. South Carolina already has former Ohio State transfer Aaron Noland waiting behind him, but Duckworth should get a chance to be a backup next year no matter what, whether he's second or third string, and he will aim to play in 2027 or 2028, I bet. But who knows? College football changes. But what do you guys think? I've been enjoying this series, taking a look at 2026 quarterbacks, so if you have another commit for your school you want me to do a feature on, drop it down below. And before you go, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and check out the videos on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.